Me and my buddy Mark decided to spend a weekend at this isolated cabin he'd inherited up in the mountains near Whisper Pines. Neither of us were strangers to the woods, but this place was deeper and older than anywhere we'd been before. The drive took us hours on winding dirt roads until we finally pulled up to the cabin just as the sun was dipping below the tree line. It was this weathered log structure tucked into a hollow surrounded by pines so thick you couldn't see more than 20 feet into the forest. We unpacked our gear and got a fire going in the stone fireplace inside, cracked open some beers and just talked about old times for a while. It was peaceful, almost too quiet, but in a good way at first. Later that night, around maybe 11, we both heard what sounded like scratching on the outside wall near the back bedroom. We paused our conversation and listened, but it stopped. Mark laughed it off, saying it was probably just a branch or a raccoon, and I agreed. We'd both heard way weirder noises camping over the years. You learn not to jump at every little sound. We finished our drinks, called it a night, and went to our separate rooms. I fell asleep almost instantly. The next day, we decided to hike up to an old fire lookout tower Mark had found on a map. It was a steep trail, but the view from the top was worth it. Miles of untouched forest in every direction. On the way back, though, Mark realized he'd dropped his favorite pocket knife somewhere along the ridge. He insisted on backtracking to find it while I headed down to start dinner. I told him not to take too long, since the sun sets early in the hollow an hour past. Dinner was ready, but no Mark. I texted him, but had no service up here, obviously. We had these walkie-talkies, though, for emergencies. I tried his channel. Mark, you find it over. Static. Then his voice crackled back. Yeah, found it. Heading down now. See you in 5. Relief washed over me. I dished up the food and waited. 10 minutes, nothing 15. I tried the walkie again. Mark, you close over. This time his transmission was broken, but I caught 3 words. See you inside. My blood ran cold inside. He wasn't inside, I was. I stepped onto the porch, scanning the tree line. Nothing? I grabbed my heavy flashlight and the walkie. Mark, where are you? I'm outside the cabin, over. The response was immediate, his voice low and strained. Not Mark, I'm in the trees, I see you on the porch. I swung the light beam wildly across the forest edge, catching nothing but trunks and shadows. I radioed back, that's not funny, man, where are you? Silence. My light flickered, then died. I fumbled for fresh batteries in the dark. When I got it working again, I swept the beam and froze. 30 yards away between 2 pines stood a figure, tall and thin, wearing what looked like dark coveralls. Its face was hidden in shadow, but it was perfectly still, aimed right at me. I shouted, "Hey!" And it didn't move. Didn't. A flinch. I backed into the cabin, slammed the door and threw the deadbolt. My heart hammered against my ribs. I tried the walkie. Mark, if that's you, answer now. Nothing. I peered through the front window curtain. The figure was gone. Then I heard it, a slow, deliberate scrape of metal on wood, moving along the side of the cabin towards the back bedroom, where I'd heard the scratching last night. Suddenly, Mark's voice burst from the walkie, frantic, "Don't open the door, I'm at the back, window now." I sprinted to the bedroom, and there he was outside, pale and wild-eyed. He hissed, "That thing was following me through the woods. It's not human, let me in." I unlocked the window, and he tumbled through, breathing hard. "We need to go now." We grabbed our keys and bags and bolted out the front door. As we hit the porch, the figure stepped out from behind Mark's truck, blocking the driver's side door. It was closer now, close enough to see its face was wrong, smooth-like plastic, but stretched too tight over the bones, and it was smiling, not a human smile. Too many teeth. We froze. It took a step forward. Mark yelled, "Run!" We dove into my truck. I cranked the engine and slammed it into reverse. The figure didn't chase, just stood there watching with that awful smile as I spun the truck around and gunned it down the mountain road. We didn't speak for miles, just white knuckles on the wheel and the sound of our own breathing. Later, Mark told me what happened. When he was coming back down the ridge, he saw the figure standing between him and the cabin, just watching him. When he tried to go around it, mirrored him, cutting him off. That's when he'd radioed he was inside. He meant it was between him and safety. He'd hidden until it moved, then made a break for it, but it had followed. We still don't talk about what that thing was, or why it was in that hollow, but sometimes I wonder about the scratching the first night. Was it testing the walls, seeing if we'd notice, waiting for one of us to be alone? And that smile, that's what haunts me most. It looked hungry.